That's right, Magic fans. We are back again for the reserve list. Top 10 selling Magic cards from February 16th to the 23rd of 2024. Now, in today's video, we are going to cover some massive movement in sales on a whole bunch of valuable reserve list cards that are probably going to strike home with a lot of you. So let's get this party started. Let's not waste time. This is your top 10. You're back with your host, MTG Moxman, the reserve list lover extraordinaire, and we are checking out the top 10 selling cards on the reserve list this week. But before we do, a reminder, if you love the Moxman, if you want to see more of my videos, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bells. And of course, we can also support by using my TCG affiliate link found in the description of this video. Now let's take a look at our number 10 card this week. We are stopping in with Savannah Revised Edition. Now, these reserve list cards, of course, can be very expensive, and the dual lands are no exception. With 39 sales this week, or a total sales volume of $12,451.92, there's a lot of money splashing around the reserve list right now, and it seems to be really concentrated on key dual lands, key cards that are used and playable in multiple formats, including legacy formats. So pay attention to these cards, because if they're cards you've always wanted, this is actually not the time to buy. The uptrend we're seeing needs to settle down a bit. I'm expecting an actual headwind of going down in price because of all the recent spoilers we've been seeing of all upcoming cards. It turns players' attentions away. So if you need these cards and you wait another 20-30 days, you are going to see a further drop in price in the MTG finance side of things. Now let's dive into our number 9 card. This is MOX Diamond. This has not made the top 10, and it's not because it was super sought after or not popular. This card was so sought after, nobody could find any copies, and it looks like some copies have come to market at a higher price point. 43 sales this week with an average price of $669.95 means the total sales volume is $30,000 plus in available credit. That's how many cards got sold. Various copies selling right now are the moderately played to heavily played copies. These seem to be the ones that are most sought after by players. They don't want to pay that premium price tag associated with a gradable copy. They want playable copies they can put in their commander decks, playable copies they can use at kitchen table. They want the real deal. They don't want a proxy, but they are trying to save as much money as they can. And of course, this card has lost a bit of its luster. We've seen a little bit of a downtrend in the pricing. And again, with all the new spoilers coming out for various sets, that's why this price is tanking down a bit. Now our next card, we are taking a look at Volra Stronghold. I have mentioned this card a few times, and again, the sales are upticking on it. 49 sales this week, or $4,000 in total sales volume. The card's at 82 bucks. I actually think this card is going to push lower after, again, the recent showing of all these spoilers, because when something flashy comes along, it takes people's attention away from the reserve list temporarily. So if you're a player hoping to dive in here, you're probably going to save $2 or $3 if you wait another 30 days. It may not seem like a lot of money, but it does add up if there's multiple cards you're after. Also, higher price tag items like the bigger bad boys of comedy aren't really going to be affected by these kind of little market shifts. It's usually these mid-level to low-level reserve list cards that see that shift in pricing when Wizards puts out something flashy to make your head turn. So keep an eye on it. But still, Volra Stronghold is an amazing card that every Magic player should own if you're utilizing these colors. It's an amazing card. It doesn't even come into play tapped. Put creature cards back, amazing. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next card. Again, we're going back to Revised, and we're taking a look at Scrubland, okay? This card here has seen, again, a big shift in sales. The card's selling a little bit different. We got some light played moving, couple of near mint, and of course a lot of moderately played. There's not a lot of damaged copies or heavily played copies available in the market space right now, so that's leading to players diving in and buying what they can afford to get their hands on, but they're still trying to find the best bargain possible. And in this case, it also means trading in a lot of modern staple cards, a lot of Ragavans, Orcish Bowmaster, a lot of cards being traded in to get their hands on cards they're never going to trade in ever again. That's the difference between reserve list cards. That's the difference in the value. We know the other cards are getting reprinted. So when players are diving into dual lands, if they're diving into Yawgmoth's Wheel of Fortune, they're doing it because they only have to have 1 or 2 of each copy, and they never need to sell them. When you buy these cards, you're holding in for the long term, and that's why you see the shifts in price really holding strong nowadays. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at number 6. Now we get a little bit different, because number 6 we are going to see is going to be coming to us from Weatherlight again. This is Pendrell Miss. I've mentioned it numerous times, and this is its 3rd week here on the top 10 because 60 sales is still very respectable, but this card's an $8 card. It's only 480 bucks in total sales volume. This acts as a Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale, and you can see each creature gains during your upkeep, pay 1 or bury this creature. So it's great against token decks. It's great construction when you're doing something in Commander that you don't want creatures on the battlefield. You need to limit the availability, and it's super cheap. Again, buying 4 for like 32 bucks to $36 costs you next to nothing by today's standards for Magic cards, so I can see why players are still buying it. But I think there's a little bit more going on. I think some speculators are starting to slink into the market here through the back door. It's okay. It's still a very inexpensive card. People can still get their hands on it. Now, our next card is something I really didn't expect to see on the list this week. This is Tombstone. Now, the Tombstone Stairwell cumulative upkeep card, I haven't seen it on the list for a while. $723 in sales volume because it had 67 sales. I had to look around because one of the patrons reached out and let me know there was some sales going on. So when I actually followed through on this, there's been a number of sales. It's kind of surprising to see this card hitting up there. It has been on the list a few years ago during the buyouts of 2022, but it hasn't been here since. Now, again, a $10.80 card. It's not super expensive. It does get played a little bit, so you can see why it might be sought after, but the copies being bought right now are near mint, which I do recommend if you're buying a low-end reserve list card. You want the best possible quality you can get your hands on, because that will utilize the best available value in the market for a low-end card, whereas a lot of players going for high-end cards are willing to take the heavily played copies. Now, our next card has been number 1 for numerous weeks, and this is Copy Artifact. It's got pushed out of the number 1 spot. It's lost about 10% of its value in the last 15 days. It still has 73 sales this week, which is $5,494. But this card was like 80-something dollars just like a week ago, guys. So this thing has definitely lost its FOMO appeal. It's definitely seeing a downshift in price, and a lot more stock is now coming to market for players trying to capitalize on the popularity of this card. Here's the thing. This is good news for anyone who wants to buy the copy of the card. Anyone who's looking to get a copy only has to wait about 30 days more. You're going to see this price probably get right down to 65 again, and then you'll be able to buy a copy at a much more reasonable price. You're going to save yourself 20%, and if you're looking for heavily played copies, it'll go a lot cheaper than that. It's good to see a lot more of new stock of this card coming to market. It puts a lot of pressure on the price, brings it down for everybody. But don't be fooled. There are speculators out there hoping to capitalize on an uptrend in this card, so wait the 90 days, 30 to 90 days anyway. Let's go ahead and take a look here. We've got Wheel of Fortune. This is, again, revised copy edition, $299.99. 76 sales, or $27,799 of sales volume. This card continues to see a ton of sales, but not a big price shift. The cards being sold are everything under the sun, from gradable copies to near mint, light played, moderate, heavily, even damaged copies of this thing are selling. So that means, as a player out there, everything under the sun is game if you want to get yourself a copy of the card. But that also means, because of the variety selling, we're not seeing a real price shift in the card. The MTG market space here, finance, is just saying this card is so sought after, it's not going up, it's not going down. Supply is meeting demand, so the price is going to stay right where it is. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at a next card. This one here should come as no surprise to anyone who's been following the spoilers, which again I will cover Monday. This is Deranged Hermit. And with all the spoilers for Bloomburrow that came to market, this card saw a huge surge in pricing, just like we discussed in the channel about a month and a half to 2 months ago, when I recommended buying this card for the $14. Look at it already, 89 sales, $3,239 in sales volume. Because of all the new animals coming out in Bloomburrow, and of course squirrels being among them, this thing has really shot up in price. Same as we saw a few years ago with Modern Horizons 2, this thing kind of goes up and down in popularity based on what's available, and this may be the final push, the final surge to make this card stick at a higher price point. I don't expect this card to really sell out. I expect there to be a lot of demand and a lot of supply. So this card's probably going to hit the $40 range by next week, and it'll settle down after that, unless some new crazy spoiler comes along which breaks the card. Now let's take a look. We're at the number 1 card this week. A bit of a surprise. I did not expect to see this card coming in from Stronghold. This is Sliver Queen. Number 1 spot, $299.99, just like Wheel of Fortune. 97 sales this week, or $29,099.03 out of nowhere. a whole bunch of sales started accumulating. A whole bunch of individual stores reached out and said they had sold their copies when I was asking if anything reserve list was selling. This one definitely topped off the market. So when I researched and looked into it, we have a lot of sales here to talk about. The copies being sold are moderately played to light played. The near mints being left alone, and there wasn't enough damage on the market to see if that was actually selling as a strong selling point for players. But 97 sales and the cards available makes me wonder why slivers are taking an uptick, but it's got to be the Modern Horizons 3, where we know we got all kinds of the odd slivers here and there over the last couple of years, so they might be having new slivers enter the market space for Modern, which means this kind of card gets a lot of popularity stakes into it. So thanks again, guys. Let's get to the wrap up here, but before we do, let's take a look at the honorable mentions this week. There are a few cards I think we need to discuss here on the reserve list, and these are the cards that had a little bit of action. Didgeridoo from Homelands definitely has seen a downshift in price. We don't know if we're getting Minotaurs inside of Bloomburrow. They're not really the creature type you would expect to see, but there's been a few that have appeared over the years. And this card continues to see like enough sales that you got to keep mentioning it, because if it ever gets printed, it's going to be broken. Now, here at City of Traders, same thing. The price is starting to shift down, so any player trying to buy this card, I think it's going to be best for you to wait about 120 days, and you'll be able to capitalize on this. Let the money get tied up in other places, and you'll see you'll be able to save some cash if you need a copy of this card. And the last one is going to be the Yavimaya Hollow. This card saw strong sales last week, and now with the lowering of the popularity of these cards, you are going to see a downshift in the price again, but don't be surprised if Bloomburrow pushes this thing back up because of the regeneration factor for your creatures. Let's get to the wrap. So let's take a moment to look at what we've seen today in the top 10. We saw Dual Lands coming up. We saw Sliver Queen coming around. A lot of these sales directly happened after all the spoilers came out. Deranged Hermit sales started climbing massively. The Sliver Queen came out of nowhere. And Yavimaya Hollow, although it's not on the list right now, I expect sales over the weekend to make it climb a little bit as more of these spoilers become mainstream and we start seeing all the players take notice of it. This is not the first time we've seen reserve list cards like this spike because of new sets coming out that Wizards of the Coast is presenting to the public. And that means speculators dive in and a lot of craziness can happen. But that doesn't mean this is the time for players to buy. That does not mean you have to fall into the FOMO trap and pick these cards up now. You need to just stay back. Calm down. If you didn't buy them last year or any time during the year when I recommended buying some of these cards when they were like 20-30% off, all the way up to 70% off, don't buy into it now. Wait for the market to settle down, but that won't happen for another 6-7 months after the release. So after we get past Modern Horizons 3, after you get past Bloomburrow and players get their initial glut of excitement, some of these cards will become available. It is best for you to save money, pay attention to the market space, put the cards down on a spreadsheet and buy them later. Don't buy them now, guys, because you're buying into the FOMO hype, and we know these prices always settle down. You want to get things at a discount. You want to sell on the high. That's what speculators are doing right now, with the ones who have controlled the market in this space right now. So just take a step back. Don't worry. If you don't own the card, nothing horrible is going to happen. They're amazing reserve list cards I've recommended, but that doesn't mean now is the time to buy. Be patient. Things always change. Thanks again for hanging out with the Mox Man today. Thanks again for being here on the channel. A reminder, guys, if you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. You'll see me every single day. It's amazing. And of course, I'll see you guys at the live stream, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time tonight. If you're watching me, if you're watching this video on the week, it's every Sunday, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you guys live on my live streams. Okay, guys, have a great day. Enjoy the Magic game because this is a phenomenal game. Don't forget, bring a friend to Magic. I'll see you guys later. And of course, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons we have supporting the channel each and every day. Some of the amazing cards we get to see are because patrons support the channel and allow for this daily uploaded content to be created. So thanks again to the loyal patrons of the channel. You are amazing people out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another video. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. You've made it to the end. This is like that movie Galaxy Quest. You're the crewman who dies in episode 2 of season 3, but in this case you didn't die. Respect. You got to make it. The writers kept you alive, and now you're here at the Ramble Jamble. So let's talk about this, guys. All these sales that happened are because of those spoilers, which again, I'm going to discuss it on Monday. I can't pile it all in here. I want to digest and go through things and really take a look at some of the financials to see where these cards are going. But there's a lot to be said about reserve list cards and buying them when they're cheap versus now, because the FOMO that clicks in now has a whole bunch of people just buying random cards because they get excited, but you could have bought them 6 months ago. You could have bought them a year ago at like a quarter of that price. And I know some of you guys did. Congratulations. I did myself. I'm lucky I bought those Deranged Hermits at such a good price point compared to where he's going now, which is interesting. But we'll talk about that, of course, at the live stream as well. Guys, it's crazy to see. It's very exciting. I love when Magic gets kind of like weird like this because all kinds of craziness happens. It gives us a lot to talk about, a lot to really digest as players. So thanks again for being here. Thanks for making it to the end. Now go clean up. You're done. This was the end. Your crew member show is over. You're not going to survive to the end unless you go help out, do some chores, fix the house, do crazy stuff like that. Don't walk away. Where? Oh, I'm leaving. It's not you guys. I'm leaving. Okay, I'll see you guys soon.